welcome back to the Building a Modern Employer Brand podcast. In this episode, I'm taking you through what I found to be, interesting bits of the LinkedIn's Future of Recruiting 2023 report. You can download the entire report from a link on modernemployerbrand.com/podcast 137. My name is Susanna Rantanen, and this podcast is for those who want to learn how to use branding, marketing, and communications in talent acquisition, employer branding, and personal branding yourself as an HR industry professional. Latest report offers us a total of 17 predictions on the future of recruiting in 2023. I'm going to take you through each of these predictions step by step, giving you my 2 cents on, most of them. As said, you can download the full report on the link I placed on the show notes page of this podcast episode at modernemployerbrand.com/podcast 137. Alrighty, let's get started. Prediction number 1, the role of recruiting as a driver of business critical changes. Now, the entire recruiting industry was challenged by the pandemic when we saw so many talent acquisition professionals losing their jobs. As we were heading out of the pandemic, we realized how forcefully the work life had been pushed to change. This is now leading into the role of recruiting changing from a support function to a driver of business critical changes, from how companies hire to what competencies and potential they need to hire and what types of employment opportunities will be offered. One thing I can agree with is that talent acquisition needs to be treated as a more strategic function than it has in the past and today. Sometimes I wonder what some employers think when they put unexperienced recruiters in charge of who becomes considered for the job opportunities. We need to value experience in the strategic gatekeeping or gate opening role much more than we have ever in the past. And I still keep hearing people talking about the quality of applications as a key criteria for your recruitment campaign or for your recruitment process or for selecting candidates forward in the process, when it should be obvious that we are not hiring applications but actual people. And an experienced talent acquisition professional is experienced enough and able to read in between the lines and see the potential even when it isn't written out in big bold letters in the application. Prediction number 2. Recruiting will have more say over pay. Now, this is interesting. According to this report, compensation is back on being ranked as the number 1 priority for candidates globally. With rising inflation, stagnating wages, and an increasingly competitive job markets, talent acquisition needs to have their eyes heavily pierced on talent market data and insight. We should definitely listen closely what talent acquisition tells us about what a competitive salary is these days. The report states the following very poignantly. As the leader with the clearest view of candidate priorities, labor market dynamics, and real-time recruiting performance at your company, you are in the best position to lead the conversation about pay and its business impact, from championing compensation models that favor skills over pedigree to retaining your top talent by pushing for pay increases that keep pace with inflation. And while we gather insight and pay attention to what makes a competitive package, we also need to learn to communicate better our total offer, including all benefits that are worth of value for our people. And not just that, but learn also about whether there are preferences towards specific types of benefits in relation to your role, your location, your age, your experience, your status of life, because it does. Customizing benefits, at least to some extent, is likely to add competitive advantage for your company. Alrighty, prediction number 3. Recruiting will double down on employer branding as talent regains leverage. Now, recruiting professionals are well aware that the war for talents has not let up, even if hiring has slowed down, which is temporary. While less hiring typically means less power for employees and job seekers, 64% of recruiters predict that the future of recruiting will be more favorable to candidates and employees as opposed to employers over the next 5 years. And that's why building a compelling employer brand and clarifying your employer image and key messages are more important than ever. The report states, with most recruiting budgets expected to shrink or stagnate, employer branding stands alone as the only line item where a majority of talent acquisition professionals expect an increased investment this year. How about that? Now, what this means is that those organizations who put the brakes on employer branding now may end up hurting themselves even more than if they simply slowed down with talent acquisition. Prediction number 4. Recruiters will need a more strategic set of soft skills. As talent acquisition hits a new era, LinkedIn CEO reminds us about something important. Or reminds you because you're the talent acquisition person, I'm not. Even though you are not changing jobs and continue to work in recruiting, the recruiting job is changing on you. If you wish to be seen and taken as a strategic business partner in the coming years, you need to grow a few critical skills yourself. Now, here's a top 5 soft skill list for recruiters predicted of what you will need in the future. Okay, number 1, better communication skills, as pointed by 78% of the respondents. Number 2, improve abilities to build relationships. That's networking, stated by 73% of the respondents. Number 3, adaptability, as noted by 58% of the respondents. Number 4, problem-solving skills, chosen as a top soft skill priority by 53% of the respondents. And number 5, better business acumen, as stated by 51% of the respondents. When I look at these top 5 soft skills, I can tell those of you who jumped on the talent marketing school and have followed, listened, and educated yourself with my content, my education material, heard me speaking and educating you about these for years already. So some of you listeners are way ahead of your peers, so good on you. And why shall I not remind you here of the Instant Employer Brand Accelerator program that guides in-house recruiters on the rebuilding of your recruitment process in ways that help you accelerate the employer branding, which is predicted to be really important, continue to be important, use company data and insight to profile the hiring need much better, and drive business results better from your campaigns and talent acquisition to deliver more value for the business. Do not hesitate to ask me more about this opportunity, Instant Employer Brand Accelerator program. Prediction number 5, recruiting will collaborate with more learning and development. 81% of in-house recruiters say that they need to work much closely with their learning and development counterparts in the future. Now, you may ask why, and I'm going to tell you what the report says. As recruiting leaders' portfolios expand to include things like internal mobility, skills-first hiring, and employee retention, they'll need to cooperate more with learning and development to prepare internal talent for new roles, identify skills gaps, and ensure your company is a place where people can grow their careers. What do you think about that? Prediction number 6, generative AI, artificial intelligence, will let recruiters focus on the human parts of hiring. Tools like ChatGPT and other generative AI may be able to help talent acquisition in time-consuming tasks, such as writing job posts and personalized candidate messages. A Finnish talent acquisition software company, Talent Adore, has offered AI-powered candidate feedback for years. Yet we can still see AI providing us at most just drafts, needing the human touch for polishing. But 74% of the respondents hope to get AI to help with more repetitive tasks, when 67% are looking to make it faster and easier to source candidates, and 59% wish for AI to help engage with candidates. So, literally, you need to be open towards generative artificial intelligence, how it can help you in your talent acquisition job. Prediction number 6. Despite the economic uncertainty, employers remain committed to building diverse workforce. While 69% of recruiters say the economic uncertainty is negatively impacting hiring, 74% say it has not lowered the priority of DEI in hiring. Now, DEI strategist Dr. Tana Session says that DEI is a priority for to the next generation of employees. Their expectation is to see leaders who look like them, and to know organizations are committed to DEI long term, not only during times of social crisis. This is really important. Now, prediction number 7. Employers will hire more contract workers as a hedge against uncertainty. This economic uncertainty and preparing for the recession means less employers are willing to hire full-time employees, turning their recruitment attention towards contract workers, freelancers, and other gig workers whose contributions can be scaled up or down on demand. Prediction number 9. Employers need to become better at keeping an eye on what candidates want the most. To stay competitive, employers must assess and reset what they offer for their candidates and employees to make sure their offer continues to stay competitive. Every time I see a job post stating we offer a competitive salary and benefits, I wonder if that is true, if that employer has actually assessed the competitiveness of their offer, or are they just saying so? Based on this report, the top priorities and selection criteria for job seekers are compensation, work-life balance, and flexible working arrangements. But you should also know that the fastest growing priorities are flexible working arrangements. The expectation for remote work is here to stay. Compensation, as inflation eased out net earnings, and that's why job seekers value compensation more now than I think for a long time. Supportive managers. When people work in remote teams, leadership meets very new expectations, and leaders need to pay more attention to how to support their teams. Clear goals from leadership. Same as above. Clarity is key when everything around you shakes and stirs. And job security. I'm not surprised, as we have seen so many layoffs already at the start of this year, and it's only the end of Q1. Prediction number 10. Recruiting pros will have to recalibrate their pitches to candidates. Now, according to this report, recruiting professionals tend to get tunnel vision on the most important priorities to the detriment of other still important factors. In reality, candidates' preferences are more diffuse and less top-heavy than a simple list might suggest. Instead of stating the most obvious claims, show your candidates examples of how key competitive strengths, what key competitive strengths you have as an employer and a workplace. Employer brand content marketing is the best way to clarify your offer and make your culture and ways of work more transparent to your target audiences. Prediction number 11. Gen Z will reward employers who value development and diversity. Now, Gen Z, that's the talents that were born later than 1996, have probably graduated now and starting their careers. But like forever in the work life, seniors and juniors expect and value typically quite different things at work. However, as this report states, the Gen Z's priorities are significantly different from their parents' generation, Gen X. But I have to say that this is a bit misleading when the report says that progressing on one's career and learning new skills are super important to young workers. They're over 50% more likely to value moving up the ranks than Gen X. So the misleading bit here is that if you ask Gen Z who are at the start of their career and any generation older than Gen Zs, you'll find life has come on the way of progressing our careers quite the same speed as we did when we were at the start of our careers. So I think that the logic is slightly lost in this part of the predictions and the report. But I do agree with the following statement that younger generation is much more focused on the importance of having inclusive work environment. Prediction number 12. Skills-first hiring will become the gold standard. The 2019, the share of recruiters searches on LinkedIn that include a skills filter has grown by 25%, and today recruiters are 50% more likely to search by skills than they are to search by years of experience. Employers have begun to embrace skills-first hiring, the practice of valuing a candidate's skills over more superficial signals like an impressive educational background or previous employers. However, the report states that only 64% feel that they can accurately assess candidate skills today, which takes me back to what I said at the start of this episode. Assessing the suitability and fit of a candidate is a skill that needs learning and experience, and it's not something you have when you first start recruiting. Prediction number 13. Companies are ditching the expectations to hire college grads whenever possible, and this furthers diversification. According to this report, there's a growing consensus that removing four-year requirements is one of the most important things you can do to promote diversity. Members of underrepresented groups are far less likely to have attended college, but that doesn't mean that they don't have the skills and potential to succeed. Research shows that workers who didn't go to college but have experience perform almost as well as college grads on critical measures like productivity. Prediction number 14. Skills are becoming a critical currency. 94% of recruiters agree that understanding skills employees do and don't have is necessary to make informed decisions. Talent acquisition teams must distinguish between which skills are truly must-have for a role and which are merely nice to have. Part of having a skills-first strategy is going beyond just hiring to ensure that you're looking at a larger picture. But first, you need to understand the skills that your business needs, and not just now, but also in the future. And this made me so happy to read it. This is something I've spoken about for over a decade, and what is engraved also in the magnetic job post framework I teach in the Instant Employer Brand Accelerator program. Prediction number 15. The recognized value of internal mobility and upskilling. The shaky economy is forcing companies to look within more frequently when filling open positions. 75% of recruiting pros says internal recruiting will be an important factor shaping the future recruiting over the next 5 years. Putting more emphasis on those career paths and development plans is getting more critical than for a long time. Prediction number 16. Upskilling will be a key tool for retaining a diverse workforce. Based on this report, over 81% of recruiting professionals say upskilling and reskilling employees will be an important factor shaping the future of recruiting over the next 5 years. Qualifications have long carried an overweight when it comes to assessing the quality of a candidate or an employee up for promotion. We are seeing the mindset shifting as, whoa, it's much more about skills and experience and the potential to grow and learn new skills. And the final prediction is prediction number 17. Learning will be a compelling driver for candidates, not just employees. Career advancement and skill development are among the top 5 most important priorities and selection criteria for candidates in 2023. You may want to prepare a compelling answer for these questions. Are you ready? If I join your company, will you help me develop new skills? Yes or no? Will you offer me a clear path to advancement? Yes or no? Will it help me to grow, even if I only stay at your company for a couple of years? Yes or no? And give me some more information on how. According to this report, these are the kind of questions job seekers are asking now, and they will get louder in asking these. Creating a culture of learning and focusing on internal mobility isn't just a must. We have to engage and retain current employees. It will be critical to the success of your recruiting efforts in the next 5 years. And I can wholeheartedly agree with the concluding words from this report. Change is coming to the world of recruiting, but that doesn't mean you'll be a passive observer. As a talent leader, you are in a position to reshape the way the world works and ensure it works for everyone. Ultimately, the future of recruiting belongs to those willing to build it. And as a change maker at your organization, the future of recruiting belongs to you. Are you embracing your future and building the life you want and deserve? Are you going to be passive and wait for someone to offer you the goods? I know that as my listener, you will embrace your future and you start planning what these predictions mean for your career and your life, and you're going to start taking actions. Now, remember, you can download the entire report from a link on modernemployerbrand.com/podcast137. That's all for this week, my friends. Now tell me, do you find the content on this podcast useful? Let me know by rating this podcast on the app you use, or share your feedback on social media for me. I'd really appreciate it. Hearing that your work matters to people is important to everyone, me included. I spend hours every week creating this podcast and marketing this podcast. And every time I get feedback from my listeners, it just really reminds me why I'm doing this. So it's really, really important to me. Also, come back next week for more branding, marketing, and communications juice to keep you going with employee branding, recruiting, and personal branding. My name is Susanna Rantanen, and I teach branding, marketing, and communications for modern HR industry professionals who want to build a successful career and get the life you deserve. Simply contact me if you're looking for a modern employer branding agency or a coach who is known as the most experienced professional in this market in Finland and one of the top ones in the world. That's the feedback I keep receiving. And I've worked in this business for 23 years now, so I do have had lots of time to learn, experiment, teach, share my knowledge, get results from my former employers, my companies, and most importantly, for our clients who want to be top of the game in their industries. Thanks for listening. Until next time. Moi moi.